Hello everyone, this is Jeremy and welcome to episode 21 of Levitated. Last episode, we set up a whole bunch of these tech reborn machines, which I think are characterized by two traits. First of all, their extreme speed. All these tech reborn machines are very fast, so if I want to make some plates, for instance, give me 100 silver plates. And it makes like an item every ticks. It's slower than one a tick, right? Otherwise it'd be making 20 a second, but it's still extremely fast. So yeah, tech reborn machines are characterized by two things. One, their extreme speed, and two, if you break it with a pickaxe, you get a machine casing back. So don't do that. Anyways, we also have a blast furnace, distiller, some other stuff. So at this point, there's three quest lines open to us: the void ore miner, the UU matter fabricator or recycler matter fabricator, and the implosion compressor to make iridium plates. Technically, we can do these two quests, but the quest that come after it is gated by iridium. So what that really means is for us to make any progress now, we have to make iridium. We actually just recently, during the last video, gained the ability to make the tier 1 void ore miner. So let's start by making that, and then I'll go on a little rant about why I think the design of the void ore miner is very bad. Tier 1 void ore miner in and of itself isn't all that expensive. The controller is, it's a lot of steps, but it's, 8 iron, a block of diamond, whatever. Nothing here is meaningfully expensive. So we can make one of those. In fact, we'll probably end up making multiples. It is a multi-block, so we need 24 tier 1 structure frames, 20 panels, 2 cores, and a lens. Those aren't terribly expensive either. So let's order those. I've already forgotten. It was 24 of these. It's 120 iron, no big deal. 144 redstone. Like materially, that's basically free. 20 of these, nothing. Let me craft the last couple bits. 2 cores and a lens. When you build your void ore miner, I typically like to build it a fair ways off the ground because the tier 1 is not terribly big, but as you upgrade through the tiers, they do get considerably larger. So anyways, here's a void 1 ore miner. You can see the duration there is displayed as 440. That is number of ticks per ore. Keep that in mind. That translates to 20 seconds per item it produces, and that'll be a very relevant number later. But in order for it to run, it does have to see the void or bedrock, hence the name void ore miner. I could have just built it over the void, I suppose, but instead I'm just going to dig a hole down to the void, and the fact that the laser is shining in my eye is proof that it's ready to run. We do have to give it power. So let's give it some power with a flux point. And we have to give it somewhere to put items. So it automatically inserts items into any adjacent chest or any adjacent inventory, including chests. So with a tier 1 void ore miner, our goal isn't really to produce the ores it gets, like coal, iron, redstone. It does get these things, but all the ores it gets, we can already produce faster through other means. There's one ingredient in the tier 1 void ore miner that's useful, and that's iridium. So right now we have a clear lens, that's a 5.61%. If we use a crystal lens, it goes up to 16% of the time. However, a crystal lens requires iridium to make. So think about this. The very first thing you do with your iridium is make the crystal lens so that you can get more crystals. This lens, however, takes 6 blocks of iridium. Each block takes 9 pieces. So 6 times 9, 54. You cannot progress in environmental tech at all until you make these 54. Technically, you can use your first 6 blocks to make the tier 2 void ore miner, but the tier 2 structure frames also use this. So if you spend your if you skip the crystal lens and go straight to the tier 2 void ore miner, you end up taking longer than if you go through, make the crystal lens, and then mine extra iridium to make the tier 2, right? You need another 64 pieces of iridium to make the structure panels. So anyways, remember that we get one item per 20 seconds. We'll call this, for sake of making the math a little easier, 6%. 6% of the time, you get this item. That means on average, it takes 20 seconds times 1 over 0.06. And let me do some math real quick here. Figure since I actually had to break out the calculator for this anyways, let's not round the number. Let's just use a number as displayed. So 20 times 1 over 0.0561 is 356. That unit is in seconds. So 356 seconds or 6 minutes on average per piece of iridium. We multiply that then by the 54 that we need to make the lens. We're looking at, let's see, I'm currently, let me convert this number to, so it's 19,000 seconds. That's not a very useful unit though. It's converted to minutes. 320 minutes. Is that right? Something like that. Yeah. So 6 hours, 5.5 hours. That's literally all you do. You wait 5.5 hours after you set up your void war miner. I thought this was longer. Apparently it's not. Like I thought it was like 18 hours before. That's normal. Explosions are normal. I think it's 18 hours if you bypass the lens and go straight to the void ore miner tier 2. But yeah, it's 18 hours until, or it's 5.5 hours until you can make the crystal lens. And then after you make the crystal lens, you have the higher chance, but now you need to make 54 plus 64, so 118 crystals, which at the higher chance probably takes another 5 hours before you can make the tier 2 void ore miner. The tier 2 has a similar problem, but it's a little bit faster because, well, the machine is faster. Your odds are lower, and from the tier 2, your bottleneck is not iridium, but it's this Kieranite stuff. You have a lower chance of it, but you need more of it. So it takes it, like your bottleneck by the stupid tier 2 void ore miner for another 8-ish hours. And then once you get to tier 3 and above, it's fast enough that like tier 3 is maybe 1 hour, tier 4 and above are on the order of minutes. Now that alone, not necessarily a problem, you know, less than a couple, 5 to 10 hours of waiting time, I can deal with that. Except for the fact that we literally just got the ability to make this item, and there was less than a couple hours of gameplay from the moment you get the ability to craft the void 1 tier, or the tier 1 void ore miner until you are hard blocked by needing the tier 4 void ore miner, right? I'm at the point right now where I cannot make any progress on anything at all without the tier 4 void ore miner because I need iridium and maybe something else from it. So long story short, long rant there. We're going to pretend that my game has just been running for a long time and I have access to some iridium. Wow, how fancy. I'm actually going to set up a couple of these void miners. Not necessarily because I need more than one, but because I need a ore miner. I also need a void resource miner. They share the same like structure blocks. They just have a different controller block on top, so you can freely swap between the controllers as you go. And there's a third type of void miner, I believe. There's a void botanical miner that gives a whole different set of stuff. I don't know how useful it is, like saplings, leaves, basically living things. But I mean, like, it can't hurt to run one, right? I think the botanical miner, oh no, it goes all the way to tier 6. I don't know why you would need to take it all the way to tier 6, but it's there. Anyways, the reason you need the resource miner is because the resource miner is the only way to make mica, and mica is used to make the modifiers that are, while not strictly necessary, they are very nice to have because without modifiers, your void miners are still very slow, even at higher tiers. And modifiers can give other things in like the personal nanobot beacon, and so on and so forth. With that recently gathered iridium, we can upgrade to the crystal lens. While you're doing your progression in environmental tech, it doesn't make sense to use any lens other than crystal lens. Once you get up to the final tier void miner you plan on using, whether that's 4 or 6 or whatever, you can switch to a different lens. But anyways, what I'm going to do is have them output into a ender chest here. I have it triple black because it's mining the void, and the void is black. Dun dun dun, like my heart. But anyways, both our miners are outputting into here. I'm just taking these items and storing them into a drawer. The void resource miner produces a lot of awkward things like all the colors of terracotta. So a lot of these drawers will just hold items that eventually get voided. But there's some useful things in here too. Podzol, mycelium, I guess. I don't know. Kind of useful at the very least. But yeah, now that we have this, I think let's upgrade our miners to tier 2. So I'm going to leave the controller there actually and just set up a new recipe for tier 2 void resource miner, even though technically it does use the previous controller. I'll turn substitutions on, and basically we'll just swap between 2 controllers as we upgrade through the tiers. Change our mind. We're just going to use... move right into that. We're just going to take down the existing one before we upgrade to the next one, because I know we have enough materials to make the upgrade. The only reason to leave the existing one up is if you fall just short of having enough materials, then, you know, if you take down the existing one... Oh, nothing fell down there. It did, it's gone forever. Looks like I lost a structure panel to that. Whoops. But anyways, yeah, if you take down your existing system and come a little bit short on materials, then you're just gonna have to put it back up once again to get those last little bit of materials. Tier 2 miners are the first to feature modifiers. For now, I'm just going to use null modifiers because I haven't actually gotten any mica yet. But once we get some mica, we can swap over to speed modifiers. Until at each tier, there's a maximum number of speed modifiers you can use. Like I think there's 4 modifier slots, but I think if you fill all 4 with speed modifiers, they don't all have an effect. Unfortunately, the documentation doesn't actually tell you. Like, there's a min duration, and once you reach that min duration, it doesn't matter if you add more modifiers. But anyways, as you can see, without speed modifiers, you actually spend longer at tier 2 than at tier 1 because the machine didn't actually get much faster. It's 320 or 320 ticks per item, so 16 seconds as opposed to 20. So it's 20% faster. But then the crystal, which is, let's see, tier 2. So we need kyanite now. Kyanite crystals are more than 20% rarer, right? They're 19% or 9% versus 16%. They're almost half as rare. So if you don't get speed modifiers, you actually spend longer at tier 2 than you do at tier 1. But anyways, look, we got our first piece of kyanite. That's, I don't know, kind of lucky. I should make sure my lenses are lined up right too. You definitely, yeah, you want your crystal lens on your void ore miner and your white lens on a void resource miner, because white is the color of mica. I'm actually thinking like 5% chance at 1 item per 16 seconds. And then I need 4 of these to make a speed modifier, I believe. Let's see. Speed modifier. Only 2. Still, it's, I don't know. I might cheat in a little bit of mica too, if we're being honest. This whole waiting gameplay, not for me. Oh, apparently I guess I do that. The void resource miner uses a lot less energy than the void ore miner. Once again, then, let's break out our imagination and pretend we spent the last 5 hours AFK doing nothing to get a couple stacks of cryonite and some mica. This is super fun gameplay of waiting. So we skipped the waiting. We're now ready to move on. Well, I'm going to make the speed modifiers, I think, and then go to tier 3 void miners. At tier 2, it looks like you do actually need all 4 speed upgrades to get to the minimum duration of 80 ticks. So with 3, it's 109 ticks, and with 4, it's 80 ticks. Anyways, now that we've done that, I'm just going to tear this down again so we can upgrade it all to tier 3. The tier 3 miners still don't really cost anything aside from the crystals that can only be gotten from the next tier below or better void miners. So material-wise, this is free. It's just time. Anyways, let's build it out. Now the tier 3 miner maxes out at 32 ticks, I believe. Yep, which is 5 speed upgrades. It has room for 8 total. The other upgrade, you can either just leave them blank, put fortune upgrade, or I think it's called luck modifiers. I should actually put these in. These give you, oh no, we can't make them until tier 3. Would you look at that? But yeah, these luck modifiers give you a chance to get multiple outputs as opposed to just a single item output. Anyways, that's the ore miner, and then this here should be the resource miner. Does that go in my inventory or into? This is a void resource miner. Let me calculate how long theoretically it would take to mine enough crystals to go from tier 3 to tier 4, assuming we, didn't need to, wait, why is it saying 160 ticks? It's not done. What's missing? Sort a structure panel? Alright, whatever. Short one. But yeah, let me see how long it would take theoretically to finish up with tier 3. I also probably have to move my miners a little bit further apart. In order to go from tier 3 to tier 4, we need to make these tier 4 panels. So each one uses 2 palladium, some other trivial things. We actually need some emeralds too. I guess we'll have to sell some, probably coal, for more emeralds. But so this is, anyways, 56 of these. So 2 times 56 for the crystals, and then we need another 6 blocks of these crystals for the controller. All in all, that comes out to, I think it was like 112, something like that. No, it has to be more than that. 112 is 56 times 2. Well, whatever. I came out to calculator, come back. 3,638 seconds, or just a hair over an hour, right? An hour and half a minute, an hour and 38 seconds. That is discounting the effect of luck modifiers. Let me put 3 luck modifiers on this. And I think we've generated our first 3 pieces, right? And see about how big the effect of 3 luck modifiers is. I suspect it's less than double, but I could be wrong. The effect of luck can be a little hard to truly measure. Ignore the resources that come by. We'll just look at ores, like that time it produced 2, 3, 3, 2. So it's, on average, I think it's slightly more than double. It's at least very close to 2. So if we call it double, it takes 30 minutes to make enough of the crystals to go from tier 3 to tier 4. 30 minutes, that's kind of reasonable. Unfortunately, I literally have nothing to do for 30 minutes. I can either just leave my game open and walk away, or cheat the parts in. And as a result, I'm going to cheat once again, but I expect this will be the last time we have to cheat for now. But I'm going to cheat in the next tier crystal, whatever that happens to be. I guess we already have some, but yeah, I'll give myself a couple more blocks of palladium. That would it? Isn't palladium something else? I don't know. I guess there's a second A or a third A, P-A-L-A in palladium, or is it P-O-L-A? Whatever. I'm going to cheat in some of this so that we can get to tier 4. Once we get to tier 4, not only are the time to the next tier extremely low, but that's also the highest tier we need for now. I believe anything that's made in the tier 4 miner can also be made in the tier, anything in the tier 5 and 6 can also be made in the tier 4, with the exception of the unique crystal types that are only needed to progress in environmental tech. Turns out I don't need more emeralds either. I have 587 from something. I think it was from when I sold coal earlier. I guess I just sold a lot of coal. I actually been using diamond upgrades in my drawers because I thought I didn't have many emeralds, but turns out I had plenty. Oh well. The tier 4 miner also needs 5 speed upgrades to reach the maximum speed, which I don't know what the number is. We'll figure out once it's done building. But that just leaves us with more slots, 16 ticks apparently. It leaves us with more slots for luck modifiers. So we get 5 speed, 7 luck. Anyways, that's the ore miner, and then the resource miner as well. The way that the void ore miners, or the amount of resources the void ore miners produce, scales basically linear or exponentially with, oh look, rutile, with the tier of the thing. So as we go from tier 1 to up through tier 4, each level dramatically increases the rate at which we produce the resources that come out of it. However, the amount of resources required to go up to the next tier increases approximately linearly. In some cases, it doesn't increase at all. Like going from tier 2 to tier 3 takes the exact same number of structure frames and thus top tier crystals as going from 3 to 4. However, going from tier 2 to 3, your machine gets 10-ish times faster. You go from 80 ticks with no room for luck to 32 ticks with about enough luck to double. Right, and here we double just from speed, but we get extra effect from luck, and we hardly need any more structure or any more blocks. So anyways, my point is going from tier 3 to 4 was like a 1 hour operation. Going from tier 4 to 5 I expect will be like a 10-minute operation. And that kind of scaling just doesn't make any sense at all. You spend more time waiting for your tier 1 and tier 2 production than you do waiting for the end, even though in theory the end is like the powerful stuff, right? And likewise, like when you go from tier 5 to tier 4 to tier 5, you get a 4x boost just from the base speed, and that's before accounting for the increase from having more modifiers, more fortune or luck modifiers. So while the number of blocks you need goes up slightly from 72 to 92, that's an increase of what, like 20%? So yeah, as a result, I think we just hit tier 4. Technically, tier 4 is good enough for everything we need to do. But if I give this about 5 minutes of production, oh look, here's iridium. In fact, why don't we set up the recipes that use like this iridium and the rutile that we just got? And by the time I'm done setting those up, let's see, this, yeah, that goes there. By the time I'm done setting that up, I suspect we'll have enough crystals to go to tier 5. And this is, at this point, without cheating in a single ionite crystal. I was looking at the various ways iridium dust can be processed. Turns out we can actually just smelt it in a redstone furnace if we like. Funny thing is, I think the industrial blast furnace is actually faster than a standard redstone furnace because of the way overclockers in Tech Reborn are broken. So yeah, this recipe is going to go into the blast furnace. I think it's called an IBF, instead of into the well, I don't have a redstone furnace hooked up. But anyways, that makes iridium ingots. And then I think the goal was to make iridium plates. So, or not iridium plates, reinforced iridium, or iridium alloy plate. That's the thing. Whoopsies, I just totally unpinned it. I tried to pin it by pinning the pin, but when you pin the pin, you unpin the pin. Anyways, yeah, so this requires making iridium alloy ingot. Also, I don't need iridium plates. We use iridium as ingots in this. And then we needed an implosion compactor to turn the iridium alloy ingot into an actual plate. The implosion compactor compressor, sorry, needs a multi-block for it to work. Oh, please. I can't actually tell if those are these reinforced casings. Those look like reinforced casings, right? The wiki does say they're advanced casings, but I think Tech Reborn has renamed their casings at some point. I'm gonna try it with these casings because the advanced casings are extremely expensive. Using a whole bunch of chrome, and I guess that's really it. Emerald. Really just chrome, huh? So I guess perhaps extremely expensive is selling it a little bit much. But yeah, I'm gonna see if we can just use these casings. I don't think there's any benefit to using better casings than needed. So if we can get away with these, may as well just use them. I think I'm also gonna bury the entire multi-block underground. While we're on the topic of making fun of Tech Reborn's documentation for being wrong/bad, take a look at this manual. They made an in-game item. It opens a link to the wiki, which I just said has the wrong, it says we have to use advanced casings. Maybe it's not wrong. A link to their Discord and a button to refund the book, which gives you your book and your ingot back. I don't understand. Why does this item exist? Why can't you put the documentation in the game and make it useful, Tech Reborn? The Implosion compressor does seem to accept these reinforced machine casings just fine. So I'm pretty sure I mentioned earlier, but I'm pretty sure it's because at one point these casings were called advanced tier, and the advanced tier casings were called something else, but then they renamed it and didn't update the documentation. Or maybe I'm on an old version and they renamed it afterwards and did update the documentation. What do I know? Point is, the book points you to the wiki, which is wrong. Anyways, this machine is very simple. You give it a material and TNT, you get a material out. It can be used to turn dust back into blocks. That's not a particularly useful one. Yeah, it's not even charged or anything. But the one useful recipe is it turns iridium alloy into iridium alloy plates. These dark ashes I don't think are useful for anything. You can extract regular ashes from them, which you can then extract carbon fiber from. I guess if we need liquid carbon fiber for some reason. Doesn't look like it. So yeah, the dark ashes that come out are probably just trash. These recipes I think are pretty fast to begin with, so by putting overclockers in them, we can now make it extremely fast. So you input the left, you input the left. Another complaint about this UI, why does hitting the X button take me out of configure slots mode, but hitting the escape button doesn't? I'll never know. I always forget to hit the escape button until I'm like, dang it, I have to hit the configure slots button again. I love how fast Tech Reborn machines are. Like, I adore it. I have a special place in my heart for fast machines, and Tech Reborn like lives there. But everything else about the mod is very backwards and confusing. So anyways, the recipe here should allow us to make iridium alloy plates. Do the thing. Do the thing. Oh, come on. Oh, there it goes. We missed it. But it doesn't. I was hoping it'd make a big loud exploding sound. Turns out it doesn't. But now we can make the plates. So anyways, those plates are really the gate to all the interesting stuff back here. But earlier I said that in the time that it would take us to set up those recipes, we would get enough ionite to get to the next tier, and I'm pretty sure that's true. 359, and we only need something like tier, what is it, tier 5 is next. It's 2 per tier 5, and we need those like 72 of these, so 144 for the structure frames and another 54 for the controller itself. Once we get to tier 5 and later tier 6, it does actually have a real cost in terms of other materials, but like the real cost is nether stars, so I'm sure our 4,544 nether stars can handle it. These higher tier void ore miners, especially when you fully upgrade them with max speed upgrades and then fill in the rest with luck upgrades, do actually use up a fair bit of power. I expect this will be, okay, well I was going to say about 100,000, but turns out 54,000 RF a tick. Of course, 54,000 is nothing in the face of up to 25 million RF a tick production, but it is, compared to the rest of our base, in fact, let's check. Our total energy in being consumed is around 70,000 RF a tick, and 54,000 of that is this. So, you know, about 15,000 RF a tick is the rest of the base. Make sure you do have reasonably robust power generation before you build these higher tier ones, or at least before you fully upgrade these higher tier ones. If you just use it without upgrades, without modifiers, then it was what, like 100 for this one and 1,000 for the other one. That's quite cheap. But the modifiers, I guess, are really what make you pay. I think they get less efficient as you add modifiers. But following the trend as before, if we see here, like in the time it took for me to build that void miner, we have 100 of the next tier crystal. So in maybe 2 minutes of output, the tier 5 produces enough stuff for you to upgrade it to tier 6. You also run into an issue where you're producing actually so much stuff that you can't possibly process it all. So like, is there a practical reason to go to tier 6? No, not at all. But we're like already there, and all it costs us to do it is a handful of nether stars that we're swimming in, so might as well. I'm gonna let this run for like 2 minutes to build up enough crystals and then tear it down again to put up the tier 6. But with our void miners fully up and running, I think it is time that we sunset all of our orchid setups. They don't do anything useful anymore, so thank you, orchids. You gave it your best shot. I do need to make sure that lapis ends up in this place, because the lapis that we produce there is only lapis ore, right? So I'll probably set up something to just like drop off lapis here and probably just smelt it, sag mill it into ore. In fact, let's do that right now. An interface here will just supply lapis. Gets pulled into a sag mill. I'm not even gonna bother with the grinding ball. This just turns it into lapis. I'm sure it's not the most efficient way, but it's sufficiently efficient. And then the cobblestone that comes out of there gets selectively filter inserted into a trash chest here. It should anyways, when it's done extracting the lapis. I'm not even going to bother with extraction speed upgrades on that thing because we don't need to process lapis all that quickly. So anyways, in the time we were setting that up, we now have 548 aethium crystals, which is enough to do one last round of upgrades and get to tier 6. I'm going to check something real quick just to make sure, but in Enigmatica 2 Expert, the tier 6 miners actually had unique recipes that or unique outputs that didn't include the tiers below it. But no, it looks like in this pack, the tier 6 includes everything below it. In fact, let's see, tier 6 is 11 full pages. Is tier 5 also 11 full pages? Yeah, because there is no tier 7 crystal, the tier 5s and the tier 6s produce the exact same thing, except tier 6 is 1 tick per, so, 4 times as fast, and you get more luck modifiers, so once again, 4 times as fast. So, well, more than 4 times as fast. Because you get extra luck modifiers, it's probably closer to like 6 to 8 times as fast. The tier 6 void ore miner actually, I think, uses less energy per ore than the tier 5 because it's more than 4 times faster, but it doesn't use more than 4 times the energy. So it's like what was the tier 5? I don't remember the exact number. 50 something K. This is like 2.5 times the energy, but about 5 to 6 times the speed. So, if in case we care about the efficiency, spoiler, we don't, the tier 6 is better. Another little thing about the tier 6 is you can swap to another lens because there's no crystal you're after anymore. The tier 6 will produce plenty of all your crystals, so there's no reason you can't swap to whatever lens you like. Although honestly, look at the rate that it produces stuff. Yeah, we're not going to need a faster lens, or we're not going to need a lens to target any particular thing, I think. In fact, we're probably going to need some way to move the items faster from the ender chest to the drawer controller. At this point, actually, did I build my drawer controller within 12 blocks of the end of the void ore miners? You can have the void ore miners directly insert into a controller slave, but explosions are normal. But the obviously the controller slave has to be. I'm sure there's a way we can pull it off. There might be some trim wire involved, but let's figure out a way to do this. Basically, by inserting directly from the miners into the controller slaves, we eliminate the need for any of this fast item movement. I'm using integrated dynamics here because I thought it was extremely fast, but it seems to get stuck on certain slots, and instead of moving on to other slots, it just keeps pulling those same ones over and over again. I had to rearrange things a little bit, but by putting the controller here, because it has 12 block radius, it can reach both all the drawers. I mean, I could have put the drawers in a more sensible place too, but it can reach all the drawers. These are all trim wire to get to the controller, so we no longer have to insert into the ender chests. And once I take these away, they should empty out for one last time, and then stay, the triple block ender chest here should stay empty. The items that get produced go straight into here. So we see numbers ticking up, which is good. In order for this to work, you do have to make sure that your drawer has room for every item. But since we've been running a little while with the tier 6, it would have produced at least one of everything by now. So every item... Explosions are normal. It catches me off guard every time, though. But yeah, every item that is produced by either of our tier 6 miners is in here. I'm going to, I think, put emerald upgrades in all of these now. I'm going to swap out the diamond upgrades. I just max them all out with emerald upgrades because of how fast we make stuff. On second thought, maybe I'll just put the emerald upgrades in. Putting upgrades into drawers is easy. You just right click. Taking upgrades out is much more difficult. First, you have to put new upgrades in so that taking the upgrade out doesn't cause the drawer to become overfilled, and then you have to remove the old upgrade. But to do so, you have to shift right click each drawer, take the item out manually, and then if you assuming you want to put a new one in, you have to put the new upgrade in. So it's significantly slower to upgrade drawers than it is to just or it's significantly slower to swap upgrades on drawers than it is to put new upgrades in. Although now that I'm already one row into the process, I think I'm committed to finishing it. Dang it, Jimmy, you and your big mouth. It's the small process improvements that bring me joy. I hold Control Shift right click and then drag my cursor down like this on each drawer. A little bit faster. And you know what? I take the upgrades, or yeah, I take the improvements I can get. It's not Control Shift, sorry. It's Shift and Spacebar. Because you have to shift click the drawer to open it. Holding Spacebar keeps me from flying, you know, from descending. And yeah. Uh-oh. Until I overdrag my mouse. Almost done. And we're fully upgraded. I think each fully upgraded drawer holds like 393,000. That's a number I see a lot in my ME system and other packs, and I think that's a number you get from a drawer that has all emerald upgrades and one void upgrade. So 393,000 items, and I don't know what comes after the comma, but yeah, that's a lot of items. Funny thing is, I'm pretty sure this miner has, at this point, already created more resources than we will use in the rest of the pack. So, I mean, perhaps, like, some stuff like stone, cobble, we might use more of. But for most of these, you know, ore-type resources, I'm pretty sure it's produced more than we'll use for the rest of the pack. But I'm not turning it off. We went through all this work to make it to tier 6, so we're going to use it at tier 6, even if it means we're effectively throwing away 99.9% of its outcome. Or output. But now that we have it, we can now make the matter fabricator, eventually make the quantum quarry. The quantum quarry, obviously we don't use it to produce the things the void ore miner can already produce, because the void ore miner produces it in absolutely overwhelming quantities already, but it does make things like it says something here. Platinum, there we go. It makes unique resources like platinum that we can't get from our void ore miner. So I guess we gotta eventually do some quantum quarrying. But all this fun stuff I think we'll leave for next time, because we are out of time today. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of lots of dirty cheating, but I blame extremely poor mod design in environmental tech for that one. So hope to see you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.